I didn't catch the whole thing. I didn't catch it.
The what?
I didn't catch the whole video. I didn't see it.
The thing about it is that he's always gonna be good at that. Like that's the thing that you get. That's the only the biggest reminder. He's good at making music. Like like you
Yeah,
can't
it was,
you can't deny that. Like you hear some shit that you like, damn, play it. Like you open your mouth, bro. Like just don't open your mouth.
All right, we officially started, man. So we welcome. So we on live, y'all. We on live. We got Rob in the building. We got Nips in the building.
Yo.
what, fellas?
What's going on? What's going on? It's Monday.
Rainy Monday, man. Rainy Monday.
Rainy Monday in NYC.
Rainy
It be like that, man. We in springtime weather.
I'm in San Francisco right now.
we
I'm next to my trailer.
Oh, okay, I see. Chilling.
Oh well,
I'm
you
where I
know.
want to be. Where I wish I was. Shit.
And I'm standing on the platform waiting for the 2 train.
Finally getting there.
Right. It's finally right.
Finally got there.
That's the dream. That ass.
Finally got there.
Yeah. So we have a good one, I think, today in terms of talking about dating woes and dating, and pretty much, the title says dealing with dating as a man in 2025, which, anyone who's been tuning in, especially in recent weeks, we've already started touching on this topic, just dating, relationship building in general. And we have been talking about it from the perspective of heterosexual men. So specifically, and some of the challenges there. And so, yeah, man, that's just a gist of it. But to start off, as always, man, I want to go around, check in with the fellas, see how we're feeling today. Specifically, right? So I don't know anybody. I'm feeling. I'm definitely tired, but optimistic, man. I think there's just, and I probably used that word last week, but
It's good. It's
it's
consistent.
still, yeah, it's still a feeling that I think I'm carrying over. And I'm also excited. I think there's some things lined up for the next 2 weekends that I'm looking forward to. So as well, I would say those two.
Up
Optimistic,
to that,
yeah,
man.
and excited. Yeah, man. What about y'all? How y'all coming in?
I'm feeling good. I'm at peace, man. I feel like life is life, and but better perspective. I don't know. I feel like when you that's the word for me. I don't know if that's on the feelings chart, but at
Uh,
peace
at peace, feeling
is
peaceful, probably. Yeah,
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 peaceful is definitely where I'm
yeah,
at.
yeah. Peaceful.
And grateful, man. That's why I had to throw on this shirt. Shout out to Los Salvajes. My cousin got his little
Oh,
shirts on and
oh,
shit.
nice, fire.
He made me
Ooh,
this joint with the 80 on the
nice.
back for
Yeah.
the 80, you know
Uh,
what I'm
that's
That's
dope,
lit.
man.
saying? So summertime is, I can smell it. It's close. It's close.
Yeah, that's the shirt for the softball league, right? For the
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that's fire.
So yeah, man.
Um, I'm feeling busy.
That's not a feeling, man. Where's that chart
It
at?
is
Where the
a,
pop
Energetic.
that
it is
chart
a,
at?
it is a feeling.
Is it a feeling?
Is
I
that
don't know. Maybe
overwhelmed?
maybe
I'm look,
overwhelmed.
yo, I'm looking at the chart right now.
Oh
Like
shit.
I'm looking at the chart right
I did.
now.
I did send it to him. I did send it to
It
him.
says busy.
What color would that be?
Uh,
What color would
in
that
the
be?
right.
in green,
Yeah.
on the green and where it says bad, right? I don't
Uh,
feel bad. I don't
right.
think I feel bad,
No, no, right. So you're
but
not necessarily in the center. Yeah. You're busy.
I'm not. I feel busy.
Yeah. I see it.
I see.
That's it. Busy. He's like, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah. My boy feeling
I'm
busy. Okay.
I'm just
But in like
saying.
a in like an overwhelmed way, or
Not in an overwhelmed
because
way.
sometimes
No.
busy is it could keep us
It
active,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
productive.
active, productive. I don't want to make it seem like it's necessarily bad,
Yeah.
but definitely feeling more occupied, with responsibilities and stuff. Days fly by,
Oh yeah.
things happening, so um, it's been a little busy, a little busy.
You know what's funny is that last week you were like around Surprised, so it's not too far from there.
Mm.
Busy is not too far from Surprised
We're surprised on this chart.
on
What
Purple.
what color? Oh,
Yeah, pretty
that's
cool.
fair. That's a
Yeah.
nice.
You
That's
got me though. I didn't know Busy was on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like busy. Okay. Yeah, but it is. It's a state of being. Busy is a state of being. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Um.
good though.
Yeah, man. Anything that any highlights of the week? Anything y'all come across before we get into a topic? Which I will start it off with a video. So the video is 9 minutes. So I don't know if y'all will be
Ooh,
interested in playing out the whole thing. Get your thoughts on it. Like afterwards, get your live reaction. Which you probably should actually. I think that'll
yeah,
be
do
fun to
that.
do. But before
Yeah.
that, like anything that popped up for you guys, anything, any highlights of the week in music, in movies and anything.
Well, if
Uh,
dating's the conversation, Megan Good and this guy got married. So let's keep that in mind. Megan Good and
Felix like who?
what's the guy?
Congratulations.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, la morena esa flaquita, buenísima, no.
Cousin Skeeter.
Yeah, cousin Skeeter.
Uh,
Yeah.
um,
Jonathan Majors. I
Jonathan
was thinking.
Majors. I was gonna say something Majors, but it was Jonathan Majors. Okay, yeah, that was
Yeah.
an interesting public
Relationship in
relationship.
general. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Nah, I think
Um,
well,
What
nah,
else?
I saw that movie with the guy that had the messed up face, and then he had like like an operation, and then he fixed his face. I don't know if you heard of this movie.
no, I'm definitely lost in the
There's a
sauce with
few
that.
though,
It's like it's
He
like
says a
it's like a
few.
it's
Wait, there's a few of
it's
those
like a
movies.
it's like a dark comedy. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool because he has a very
Oh, that it just came out recently.
yeah, he has a very
Um,
like he has his face is messed up, like
I'm trying to
very
see.
deformed,
Yeah.
like
the guy who
like
plays Winter Soldier is him.
yeah, yes, yes. He's the one that plays. So like,
How was it?
yo, bro, awesome time of a movie.
Okay.
Nice.
I liked it. I was saying it was funny. I don't know, great time. Just like it was very interesting.
Mm,
It really is. If you watch the trailer, you kind of get a sense of where the movie goes. Um,
uh-huh.
and I think that it was just very. It's a good take on like how we see ourselves and stuff like that, and how
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a whole mental thing that we got going on versus it being
Mm,
like actual reality. Because like in the movie, just little spoiler, the dude there's he when he fixes his face, now he becomes popular, but then he gets he meets up with another guy that has the same this
Condition. Like
the same
yeah.
condition that he had before. And that guy, everybody loves him, and he's very charismatic. So
without
he can't
fixing his face.
without fixing his face.
Oh, I
Like,
love that.
and then he was a very cool dude. Everybody was like in love with him, whatever. And
I
so like,
like that. What a
and so
twist.
the dude gets kind of obsessed because he's like, how can you have that face and be this popular, this
Yeah.
charismatic, this outgoing, and like it goes from there. But
Oh, I like that.
I might have to
Nah,
catch that.
you didn't ruin it. Good little take. Let's give it
Yeah,
a
yeah,
clap
yeah,
for.
yeah. That's a good one, man.
that
But you
was
got to give
good.
me that
That's
name
really
though.
good
So,
too.
because there
It
is
was
one that I
good.
do want to catch that I
It
heard
just
about.
won. It was in the like Oscars or some shit like that. He won an
Yeah,
award, I think,
Okay,
for it.
okay, okay.
yeah,
No, I definitely want to check that out. Have y'all heard of that? It's on Netflix now. Adolescence.
I
The
heard
limited
of it.
series of that young boy is like top one. But when I heard of yeah, so it reached top. But I've been hearing a buzz about it for a while. Which I think is actually relevant to hear the conversations we have here on this platform.
yeah,
In terms of like, yeah, with the young boy killing a female classmate, and then all the other stuff that happens after that. But it
Oh,
obviously
damn, I didn't
exploring,
know that.
yeah, exploring like his ideas of masculinity, why they come to that, what happened if he did it, didn't do it. So I'm hearing great stuff. So that's one I was also gonna check out. But definitely, I'm gonna. That's a series, so I think I'm more interested in watching the movie first, especially since it's comedy and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna enjoy the one you mentioned
Yeah, I need
most.
comedy. I need
Yeah,
comedy.
that sounds like a
I
good one.
don't, real life
Comedy,
is serious enough.
Oh yeah, yeah,
comedy,
yeah.
comedy is not easy to come by. A different man is called.
A different man. Okay.
A different man. Yeah, pretty cool.
My body different. Sorry.
Yeah.
Forgot I was watching a movie and then something was playing and I kept realizing how many drill songs keep saying, my body different, my body different, and so many different ways, and that shit just got stuck in my head.
Well, they body be different, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, right? I mean, yeah, that's a very accurate statement. Nobody is the same.
Yeah. Yeah, let them rock too, man. Yeah, let them rock. Whatever, brother. Yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah, nah,
All right,
that's
man.
some good stuff, man.
So
You got it.
Al,
Yeah.
what's up with this 9 minute video?
You
I'm
curious
intrigued.
about it?
I'm intrigued. I'm
Jake,
intrigued.
yeah, I could play it. So,
So,
jumping us right into then the conversation dating. I came across this video of this person because it's one of many. I do think that like there's been many videos like the ones we're about to watch and play for everyone, but I do think it's interesting, and I've always wondered, like because we've been having discussions here over a year now. I do think and I believe in a different way about the things we're seeing about men's representation in society, and obviously representing a counter story to that. So this video is kind of falls in line, which I think of stuff we've been seeing since the 2020s. I would kind of say like, you know, Kevin Samuels. What was the other guy? Jordan McPherson, whatever McPeterson, whatever. Like these high-profile men who in a way talking codes about like bringing masculinity back or like stuff like that. So, um, and there's like a plethora of dating coaches. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they've always been around, or maybe that's just something that's happened in social media. But it's like a bunch of dating coaches abundant. And so I thought it would be a great segue to kind of get us started and get us to think of some things. So this is a guy who proposes ideas as to why older men aren't dating or something like that. So I'll let the video speak for itself. Okay, fine.
hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love the same.
I, I, I definitely
Second that.
would love.
Second, third.
Yep.
Sorry, let
Would
me
love.
get the video. Let me get the video now. Sorry about that. All right. So it's
Yes.
18 reasons why older men are staying single today. So just off of the topic alone, though, before we show this person love, because actually I don't want to start with that. I kind of want to get our initial thoughts on the conversation. So really, starting from there, right? Like 2020s, and I think for all of us are enjoying a certain time period in our lives during the 2020s. So what has been your personal experiences with dating now in the past, in the 2020s, let's just say, because we're already freaking not halfway through the decade already, but like we kind of are, we're in 2025, it's March, so, and whichever one of you want to go first on that, like
You could
just your
take the
personal
floor
experiences.
next.
Like so we go back in the 2020s, just straight. Let's say starting 2020.
Yeah, personal experiences with dating, because yeah, I do, as we talked last week, there seems to be this very much like pre-COVID world and now post-COVID, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Boy got his hands up.
No, yeah,
Nah,
so yeah.
I think um the the voices have just gotten like louder on everyone's experience right? When it comes to what their concerns are when it comes to dating. I I, I don't think that there have been necessarily any new issues per se. I think that men have been dealing, specifically men of color, have been dealing with battling um, whatever masculinity looks like for some time. I don't think that's anything within the past just 5 years. I think it has grown in the past 5 years. I think this what COVID has allowed people to do is really realize that I don't need much for people to hear me. I could just press a button. I could just set up a little Twitch account and really start talking about whatever it is that I want to talk about. There were times where you had 25 people in a room talking about, I don't know, ran 100 people in the room talking about, I don't know, about it just became more available to have those discussions. And within that, we're analyzing the information now. We're looking at what are most people saying, right? And it really just puts it at a difficult thing where you're trying to maneuver through that because you're trying to, me personally, in the past 5 years, find myself having to battle whatever the hell apparently is being said about men. Has nothing to do with me personally, Nips, Felix, Alberto, whatever. But I have to battle this idea that men aren't going to want to do this, that men are expecting this, that men are expecting that. None of it coming from me. And so I do find myself having to address some of that, even though I don't think I present any of those type of qualities or whatever, or that type of mindset. Um, and that could be a little off-putting if you don't know how to deal with it. So I could imagine some people not knowing how to have those conversations and how to just be open about what their experience is and really take that into like, why you want to know more about me? Like, what's all these questions about? You know what I'm saying? Like, really, you know, I don't get mad when someone asks me for my astrology thing. It's just part of the game, you know. You have to you have to contribute to it. So you know, men have to be able to contribute to the conversation and stop running away from like, I don't know, whatever their personal feelings are and whatever emotions they feel, right? Like, don't get mad because someone's asking you a question, and it happens to be a popular question nowadays. You know, like, I'm not gonna say I don't know, but do you want to have children? Oh my God, that's a you might think that the response is simple, but really that depends on who's asking, you know. And we should be able to just be like, yeah, I want to have kids, or nah, I don't want to have kids, and not have any feeling with, you know, anything like that, because we're gonna get those type of questions all the time. And I just don't know how most men are dealing with it because I just know that it could be overwhelming trying to. I don't know what do you want from me, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, I think, and that's a question that comes up, oftentimes, right? What do you like? What do you want from me? Or maybe people are maybe not asking themselves enough that question. I think when it comes to dating, I mean, my experience, like starting, the 2020s. I mean, obviously, like right now, I'm speaking from a perspective of someone who's no longer single, but at the start of 2020, going into 2020, I was, and I think it was definitely this very weird, like, I had a moment where I had like Tinder and Bumble and like Hinge, and I'm trying to download all these apps and trying that, and I don't know, it was I remember trying to, like, will be on it, you know what I'm saying, try to see if I could find a date, and then I caught myself at one point like, what am I doing? Like, why am I trying to look for a date? You know what I mean? Like, I'm here in this crib sometimes, by myself, and really like having nobody but myself there to talk to, and I'm scrolling, and I had a moment where I was like, what are you doing?
Isn't it?
What are you doing?
Doesn't it?
Well, also
Doesn't it
because
make? Doesn't it make it more depressing?
In a
for
way, I
some
mean,
for
it was
some odd
weird.
reason.
It
For
was
some odd
weird.
reason, like it makes
Yeah.
it
Well, because
like
I felt like I wasn't connecting. You know, it didn't feel
yeah.
like much connecting. It felt like superficial, trying to get to know somebody. And I'm like, for what? So I do think again, what helped me during that time was getting back, locking back in with like music, for example, and being away from like producing for a while, and then like having us like we were doing music once a week, then twice a week, and it was like a thing throughout
Hmm.
that time, and then getting back to work, back into the office. So I
Yeah.
think having like a passion in a way and having other things to focus on did help me not feel, to some degree desperate. There was a moment where again it was like single. I started being in my head about like, damn, I'm not getting no action. It's like been a 1 or 2 months, 2 3 months I haven't been with a woman, and like I started giving myself these pressures of like I gotta get with somebody. What the fuck am I doing? It's lonely out here. Or at least I was telling myself these things, right? Because I'm by
Only out here for
myself.
a pimp.
But I wasn't by myself. Again, that's the thing that then I was like, well, you're not by yourself. When you pay attention to what's around you, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely to start it off. I will say again, weird in that aspect that like related to what you were mentioning, Felix, in terms of like the questioning and feeling like and do think and thinking that some questions were like, okay, you're asking me this because that's the internet trend. You know what I mean? Like, are you
Yeah.
asking me
Yeah.
this because you genuinely want to know this, or is it because that's the
Yeah.
internet trend now? It's a
Nah.
hashtag and uh,
Let me
you know.
let me go into. There was I was on a. It had to be around that time, and I was dating this lovely young lady, and she comes to my house, spends time, and she said that she wanted to go to the mall to get sneakers. All right, I bet we just go to Co-op City. Go to Co-op City. She see something, and she don't. She gets. I think she's gonna buy something, and then we go get something to eat. Week later, she's like, "Oh, we got to talk or something." She was saying that saying that I had to pay for those sneakers,
Okay.
but never really asked me.
Up front.
Never really asked me like,
Okay.
"Yo, I want to go get these sneakers. You got me?" Like never. It was legitimately on some like, "Yo, I wanted to see about some new gym sneakers, you know, type shit." All right,
Yeah, you
okay,
remember those sneakers you took me to buy last week?
It's like what?
Like, why did I pay for them when you
I
took
was,
me?
I, I was. She was like, "Yo," but I was, yeah, because she was
You take
saying like,
somebody to buy sneakers,
it
you pay.
reminded,
You should be
it, re,
paying.
it reminded me of those TikTok
It's no
trends
bueno.
where, the ladies is like, "Oh, you gotta pay for everything," and I'm just, and people can go over that. Like they
Even
could
if,
try, they could try to aim for that. I'm not trying
nah,
to
not like
like,
that. Not like that though. That's a
no,
finesse.
no,
That's
no.
like the day
That's what I'm
that you
trying
were
to
at her
say. No,
crib and the bill
but
came
like,
over. Yo, you was there when my bill came. Why was I paying
no,
for
no,
my
no, no, no,
bill?
no.
You was
Listen,
there.
listen,
You saw
listen,
me
listen,
get my
listen, listen,
bill.
listen, listen. One thing that I'm not scared of.
That's crazy.
Any woman, I would say that I've been romantically involved with. I know that one thing, like seriously, and we've had deep connections. One thing I know for sure that they're not gonna say is that I don't spend. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was kind of weird for me to experience that because I'm like, huh.
No.
He's like, you could just ask, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
but this is different.
He's like,
This,
you could have just been like, oh, you got me on this or something. I would have like been straight up with you on something like, yeah, like, or no, like, what do you? But like, what? Well, you legit got mad at me because you went to the cashier and I decided to look at some other sneakers. Like I didn't know. You know,
So I think
and
That's a
I
little
think those kind
crazy,
of
my
shorties have
man.
multiplied.
That's a little. Yeah, no, you
well,
think so?
well, well, you. I always thought that that was like super extreme things that you see on the internet
Yeah.
for the reactions. You know what
No,
I'm
it's
saying?
real.
Because like some a lot of the internet is fake. A lot of it. A lot of it is created for the intention to drive monetary whatever to
Mm-hmm.
somebody, however that setup is, either through Instagram, whatever. In
Right.
my personal opinion, they're all made for that. Everybody that is sitting there churning out videos is with the hopes that they can generate money. So they're gonna have to like create some of those content. But like when you start seeing that stuff bleed into real life, you're like, I think we got a problem.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, I think you got a problem because that's what I was like, am I on TV? Is I like, am I getting
Is am I getting punked? Ashton Kutcher? My man
what?
resuscitated
Yo,
punk.
what's going on,
That's
bro?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
interesting.
weird.
Interesting.
like,
Okay.
And that
like,
was in the time. That was in the 2020s.
Yeah.
around that it wasn't. Oh, yeah, it was around that. Wasn't that
Around
long? It
there,
wasn't
yeah.
that.
Now they got to
It
pinpoint
wasn't.
about it.
It
Yeah,
wasn't that. It wasn't that long ago. Also,
Oh.
interesting. Point two.
yo, this whole thing that we have here about dating and stuff like that. You always gonna have to be 100% true to yourself. And if you're not comfortable with who you are as a person, you're gonna have a lot of clashes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And clashes mean doesn't need to necessarily mean like a disagreement. A clash is like something more than a disagreement, something that's high emotional, right? Something that's really offensive. Like you know, if you're not comfortable with yourself, somebody could say something to you, and you could easily be on some like f you this down the third, right? The same individual, because of my comfortability with who I am, and I'm able to joke around. I was saying stuff that is probably homosexual, right? Like, oh, my boyfriend, and it was my best friend. He was literally my best friend. Lives down the block from me, and a lot of times when you're in a relationship with me and you ask me, "Oh, who are you with?" and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm with my best friend." And so it's a running joke. It's like both of y'all that y'all friends forever, and if y'all both together all the time, and y'all girl hits you up, and you with Al or or
Okay.
Al's with Rob, like that's a little joke. And so I send that text message on something like, nah, I'm just here chilling with my boyfriend, playing around. This individual took it pretty seriously.
Wow, how so? They got upset.
No, they got upset.
Yeah. Like
They got
they thought he was gay.
legit got upset because they took that comment of me having a boyfriend like that thought she thought I was like
She
bisexual
thought it
or
was
something.
confessions and shit out
Yeah,
here.
and shit. I'm just like I'm so lost. I'm so lost.
Oh my god.
I always thought I was Dominican, which there's a percentage of gay in there automatic automatically, but it's not my fault.
Yeah, that's what they
It's
think
not
because
my fault
it's
that
the
you don't know
truth.
that. I mean, like it's probably like 1 or 2%, very low.
Yo,
But
that's mad
Hilarious.
funny. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, so
That bullying and energy.
it's 1 or 2%, but it's there, bro. I don't want to hear it.
yeah, man.
Damn, I got upset. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Nah,
at the
bro.
very, it sounded like she definitely misinterpreted like the joke and didn't catch it.
Not
And
Sometimes,
really
that.
not,
sometimes I
Exactly.
def
just think that that's what this generation's about too,
definitely
though.
not
Like, it's
the
a very
humor.
possessive. So even if you didn't make that joke, you know, I wonder if relationships will come in the way of, you know, bigger bonds, you know, like in a sense, like are we sacrificing the future of community for our singular relationships, you know? Because I wonder if certain relationships can survive within communities for shit like that, you know, being jealous, you know, needing your own time.
Hmm.
I mean, who knows?
That's where I'm at. Where I'm like, you know what? I actually want to start. I feel like most of my life I focused on relationships. So for me now, I would like to just be a part of a bigger community,
Hmm.
and then I think naturally a relationship will come. Um, I think that route hasn't been exercised as much. You know.
Mm. I I think for me, I I always I always like being in relationships. I think I always I think I always preferred them than like um being single and out here. Um, but I think that if I don't know what I want to do, I don't know how long the relationship is gonna last. Like I need to know what I want to do there. I can't just be there to say I'm in a relationship either. Like I can't just do that. Like
For sure. For sure.
there has to be a target, you know, for the both of us. The target
Yeah.
has to be aligned and like, you know,
Yeah,
mutually. But like
ideally.
ideally. But like just why am I just gonna be with someone if I don't have that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's always been a challenge for me because how do you? Sometimes it dies out. Sometimes things die out. Sometimes things
Or it
die out,
changes.
Yeah.
or it changes, right? Like, and those things are scary because you cannot control the other individual and what they want to and what they want to do.
No.
Never,
But
never, never.
I think that for me, knowing that first always grounds me in like times of like uncertainty for myself as to like what I want to do. And it's not easy to always know that, right? Because it can change from the moment. Like you could be upset at somebody and be like, "Nah, bro, screw it." But you gotta be like true to like what that thing is. If you want to grow with this individual, are you trying to like get a house, trying to have children? Like what is it? What are you trying to do here? Are you just trying to vibe out? You could do that, but you just have to say that too. Like I'm just here to vibe out. You can't just
But
Mhm.
be.
even then, what does that mean, right, Nips?
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
Yeah,
we get
no,
we get.
exactly,
I think that's another
exactly. Yeah,
thing. It's just yeah,
yeah. I was being very like specific,
general.
but
Mm.
but then also like I like maybe not so genuine. Y'all could define you and this other individual could define what that vibe out looks like,
Yeah.
you know. But there needs to be a reason um for a relationship that is, you know, from both ends, not just, you know, the man side.
Mm.
Um, because if you don't, why are you there for, bro? Just there. Hey, send a text message. How you
I
doing?
listen. I feel you because I relate to that time I was in earlier in the start of the decade where I was asking myself these questions because at some point it did start to feel what's the word like time it felt pointless. There was no purpose in a way, you know. It did start to like sink into me that it's like, oh, I'm just dating to date, like, because again I'm in my head like, oh, it's been a while. I've been single for X amount of time now, and kind of like in
Mhm.
my head with things. But again, I really think about like, okay, but what for what purpose? Like, what am I trying to gain? What am I trying to do? And then and sometimes I do believe you meet somebody and you end up finding a purpose. I think that could
That
be a
could be a
thing as
thing
well.
too.
But again, what am I doing with myself as a being? You know, um, because there's other, you know, like yeah, there's a lot of things we can do in this life, you know, outside of relationships, right? So I think getting to that. So Rob, I don't know if you necessarily gave your thoughts or your experiences so far to that first question of like what your experience has been, personal experience has been with dating.
Yeah, well, I kind of hinted at it where I was saying most of my life I was in relationships, so that's why at this point I'm like, and then all those times I felt like what I was kind of sacrificing subconsciously without knowing was the idea of community.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't balance the two. Like I didn't know how to have a relationship and then be a part of a bigger group. I was trying to, but I felt like I was dishonoring one, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I was one of those basic men that says when you go out with your boys, act right, and then when he meets up with his boys and they all like and
Mm,
they acting stupid and shit. I just felt like I was just a kid, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. I
yeah.
just what I love now is just realizing like it's time and place. So for me now, I think all those relationships serve a purpose because you grow and you learn, you take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? The experiences, you care, and then you move on from there. And now I'm just kind of focused. For me, I think a relationship respectfully does require a lot of your time. So love to you guys. Like I think I would I not to say too much. I just wouldn't put myself in that position where like
Well, you know until you don't know anymore, right?
what that mean? What that
Well,
mean?
because then you might find somebody and then things change, find somebody that catches your attention in a way, because I do believe we are human, Again, I
Well,
think
no,
it
no, no,
happened for
not to
me,
say
you
never. No,
know.
not to say never. It's just knowing when what I'm saying, knowing when you want that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I question, like,
Yeah.
because we always will want that, because I think it is in our human nature to, bond, to get intimate with other humans. And so I think that's a human nature that we just all have in us. And then it depends what choices we make around those innate feelings that we have towards each other as humans. Again, some people, I
Yeah.
could have stuck in that, like, I'm gonna stay on Tinder, and maybe I would have had, like, let's say things would have gone different, and I would have been seeing more women, and but then I don't know, would it have been just a revolving door of women now, where I'm like,
Yeah. Did those ever feel intimate to
yeah,
you?
I don't think I've reached a level of intimacy with them, because again, it felt superficial. It felt very much like, asking these questions to try to get to know somebody that I've never met yet. I'm only seeing through pictures, and again, where I think well, my experiences before, I would have gone on a date with somebody, like there was some sort of personal interaction first, and I met you in person first, and then the date came after. It wasn't like,
So that's what I'm
I
trying to
guess the
say.
equivalent would have been if I would have gone on blind dates,
Community, yeah,
or like
community
on
before
speed
romantic.
dating events and stuff like that. But no, um, and so yeah.
Well, Rob brings up something. I mean, that's helpful when it comes to relationship. Like meeting someone through a community that you build is helpful, and we see it in religion all the time
I
because
agree. Yeah.
there are certain things you don't have to worry about. There's a understanding of foundation. When you come from a community, you have a sense of understanding
Oh
of
yeah.
how said people from said community can be the way that they are. And it would be very great to find someone that shares those super foundational alignment, morals and values, because it'll make everything else easier, right? You don't, that's probably something that it's harder to break through as like morphing or changing overnight, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you probably would see it coming if someone from that's deep in the Catholic religion, doing what they do all the time. As a bad Catholic, I don't even know what that is, but um,
Oh,
and then all of a sudden they start to like distance themselves. Like you would see it, right? But um, I think when to Rob's point, when you focus on community and then be blessed enough to like engage with someone from that community, I think it's It's helpful. I think
Yeah.
that's how some people that I question on how they're together sometimes. Like sometimes like and, and I'm not saying I'm correct in doing this, but I sometimes be like, how I see two people, I'm like, but maybe it's because they have a very strong
Community. Yeah.
foundation
Yeah.
that it's easy for them to navigate difficult times. Relationships at the end of the day are going to be extremely difficult, super difficult,
Yeah.
extremely difficult, ultimately difficult. It's going to be difficult, and I think that our generation has given up on that difficulty. Like we don't even want to ah,
Well, I
but
just think
it's
again, like a community won't give up on you. Though. It'd be easy to separate two people. You know what
well,
I'm saying? That's easy to separate
we
two
don't
people. But
may
if it's
may
like, that one extra person who actually cares
we
about y'all, or, be four or five, like community is a big word. And sometimes,
if
and a lot of those beautiful stories end up being that the community actually helped,
if
Yeah.
and it's like, oh
if
shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
if the
I never
idea
seen it.
the idea of community is also something that's antiquated, right? In how our generation decides to engage,
Correct,
right? We
correct.
we 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 used to be able to have community in the 70s.
We gotta
In
rewrite it,
in the
yeah.
in the 80s, we had communities. I don't care how you want to label those communities, positively or negatively, none of my business. But there was a larger sense of community. Now that we're moving into this age, my generation, I feel our generation is the last one that had a true sense of community when it comes to New York City. And the further down the line, the more like it just moves away. And so, yes, you're right that if the community is not going to, but currently in this climate, in this era, in this time, the idea of community is something that I'm saying is
It's lacking,
antiquated,
yeah.
is antiquated, bro. And that
Mhm.
should not be a statement that anyone is saying. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be that I'm saying like that us getting together, right, to build and support ourselves as men to even clean up the block. I don't know. It's not existent to things that I know. It used to be. I remember of a time that they used to sit around and say all these things, but it ain't no more. So, um,
Yeah. I
sure, community can be helpful, but when
uh-huh.
you don't have it, we're stuck to that whole idea of square one. Like
Yeah.
we don't have the ability to create solid foundations. We're going into these territories where everything is just superficial
Yeah.
and not
Well, the
super strong.
communities are now online, right? And then that's where we're getting these opinion pieces, these things about like where things are headed or what you should do, what you shouldn't do when it comes to dating. And then I do think that's again we're coming into a clash because one thing we have talked about is just like the challenges that apparently men are continue to face when it comes to dating, right? In 2020, like in this age, not just 2020s, but I think since obviously we've entered this digital age. And I do think it.
But online community is terrible, bro.
Well, some I do think some because I don't, for
Some,
example, because what we're trying to do
some,
here is something
I
different. It's a
didn't.
some.
I've
challenge.
never gotten involved to be
Well,
honest.
no, it's a challenge because I think obviously the internet is become a cesspool in a lot of ways. You can't really find too many positive things. I mean, but that's why I think like there's still efforts to try to again what we're doing here is trying to throw our little hat in the ring as far as like trying to combat what's out there to give at least if you're searching the space because you don't have a physical community that you can go to, right? Like there maybe
And
is a digital community
and I
where it can sort of try to replicate because I don't think nothing will
Word is
replicate
gonna
the
be this one
physical
right here.
community, but I
and
think at least to get these thoughts out, right, have these kind of dialogues back and forth, and
I
it's not just like hearing from somebody who has like the loudest mouthpiece.
and I totally agree with all of that. The issue that I am having is that these algorithms owned by these large corporations and these companies are meant to do one thing. They're not meant to equally distribute the voice. and that's where I'm trying to like it
Oh no,
creates
I hear
this
that for
that,
sure.
it adds to the layer of like why I'm saying online community is terrible. There is no pure way of us being able to do something that is not being manipulated,
Mm,
right? For the idea of traffic, for the idea of data, for the idea of generating profit. Like that creates the cesspool. Why would somebody want to try to engage when the only thing that they're being fed is for this idea to create and generate money?
money, yeah.
And so that's why like when we're out on the street, we have more control as to where we're gathering and what we're doing and all this other stuff. There's not all of this these things that are just facaded created in front of you to kind of stop you from actually getting to where you actually want to go and actually having the voice that you actually want to have, because that's the online part. The online part creates this fake thing versus it stopped us from going outside, and it worked like legitimately,
Yeah.
because now we have to engage with the algorithm. We have to battle that shit over and over for over and over to be able to be at a place where we're generating the same amount of traffic that some kid is unboxing some video
Yeah. Unboxing,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, video game. The Switch
Yeah,
2 or
so he's
something.
unboxing some toy or whatever. Like that creates
Getting paid for
it's
that,
like
right?
it's like it just creates these layers. So yes, it's great that content is being produced
Yeah. I mean,
for these
well,
discussions
a few.
and is there being marketed and is being like documented. Love it. Awesome. More of it needs to happen.
Oh,
A lot
a
more of
lot
it
more.
needs to
Yeah,
happen, right? But it's also at the same time this other nonsense of like, okay, we still have to battle the other the other barrier, which
so
make this a little bit more difficult to even try to just even have these things set
yeah.
to anyone. You know what I'm saying?
So from the other men you've had a chance to maybe check in with or talk to, like what do you find that they're sort of saying about like if the men specifically who are in the dating game as well, what are you kind of gathering that like they're saying as far as like some of the struggles they're having? Because again, some of the things that I've heard, and us three we've talked about dating outside of all the cameras, but um, I think from other men is just again this fear that like they're going to be interrogated about their past, right? So there's a lot that men hide. I think this fear obviously of being financially set, whatever that means, right? Or financially ready to provide, whatever that also
Mhm.
means too. So yeah, like those issues comes up. Some men not feeling like they shouldn't date because they don't have a job, right? So now tying their ability to date to again making money. Um, and then yeah, that seems to be the struggle. And then like the some men struggling with some sort of shame, like trying to figure out how to express themselves to a woman in a way that like they feel understood, and then or men struggling with expressing
Mhm.
their emotions
Mhm.
because they're trying it
Mhm.
right, because we are living in a world thankfully where I think they while women could also be the first ones to champion like this whole masculine macho way of being, I think there's been an openness to accept men's feelings, and I do think that has been a shift.
Yeah.
But men,
Yeah.
so now they're coming in with it without the right words sometimes, without the right way to
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and then wait, what
Yeah.
do you mean by that? What do you now they're
Mhm.
getting questioned, and now what I'm also seeing is
Mhm.
then the men struggling like, oh shit, I think I said
Mhm.
something wrong, and it's like, no,
Mhm.
you didn't say nothing wrong, bro. Trying to express
Mhm.
yourself. They misunderstood you. You can talk about it, right? But yeah, I see men
Yeah.
kind of struggling with now their emotions. So those are kind of like things and themes that I've seen coming up over and over again. So I'm curious to hear if you guys heard anything else from like men you've talked to, brothers you talked to, as far as like dating and how things have been going.
I think
Nah, they don't talk to me. Nah, imagine.
we
Well, it's
don't talk.
actually research that says that might be true.
Well,
Statistically speaking, yes.
I think I mean from I don't know. Yeah, I mean I don't. I think that a lot of people are not being 100% honest, right? When like this, like other men sharing with me, like what they're really going, because they're they're really saying the same thing, right? Which is like, oh, women just want money, you know, and it's a waste of time. Why are they like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's whatever, right? Like I've never really um been worried about stuff like that. Like, but I don't know if it like if it's any different. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
like
again, you know.
I think a lot of men are, but to what you're saying, Al, I don't think a lot of men have been sharing that part of it. Like, oh, it's a lot of it. It's like, oh yeah, how been dating out here? It's like, nah, man. Yeah, I went on this date. She ain't give me none. I'm like, all right. Um, it's not written in the rule book.
Right, right,
That,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, like I don't understand where you get this idea. Like, you gotta, like, they gotta give it up to you because you bought them cheesecake. Like, you ain't really want to be there then, and be up front. Like,
Be
yo, I don't
upfront,
even want
yes.
to do that. Can I just bring you back to the crib or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Be
But
more.
then but then some men might know how that comes across, but it's like, but living that truth, because I
But you
think that,
can't. You
right,
That's what I'm saying. You can't have it
because
both
we can't have
ways.
it both
You
ways.
can't have
No,
it both ways.
no,
You
no.
can't. You're gonna try to have your cake and eat it too, and then you're gonna get tight. You
Not
either
cheesecake.
you buy you rather be yourself and be upfront with what your intentions are, because you could probably get your way regardless. But if you want to be playing, let me see what I could get my way, it just it's probably worse.
Gonna be
It,
humbled.
it's probably worse. If you're trying to vibe with somebody really just cause you like, you feeling them and whatever, and you trying to like just have a one night stand and whatnot, say that. Legitimately, say that.
Yeah.
There, yes, there are gonna come some. There, it's not
There's
gonna. You're not every. You could be correct, come correct, quote unquote, and still flop. What are you talking about?
That's also very possible. It's very possible.
You could come correct with all the respect, all the things or whatever, and still get rejected with the no. It is 100. Like everything is like everything is an actual possibility
Yeah.
versus it not being a possibility at all. And so,
You know what I never
what?
understanding, man, is when that moment comes in rejection and then they show the ugliest side of
Oh my God, bro!
themselves.
The OD, bro.
Well,
I
that's
bro.
layered,
Yes,
right?
never. That doesn't make any
I
sense.
get embarrassed. Me, I'm looking.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. Like, how? What? Take the L, bro, and walk away. Take your L. Like, what you talking about? And
yeah.
get you
Then they make
like,
any excuse. Then they say it's not even about that L. Nigga, fuck that bitch. Or
nah,
whatever.
take that L,
I gotta
It's
laugh
like
bro.
'cause it's so ridiculous, the logic. I only laugh
it's
at
So
it because
you
I
mad?
know.
You mad? You ugly? Like you
it's
mad? You
crazy.
ugly? Like you mad? You ugly? And it's not
How you
anybody
gonna
else's
play?
fault.
Yeah.
How you gonna flame them for that?
You mad? You ugly? Well,
That's
it's
some
really more
wrong
like
shit. That's so
not everyone's
wrong.
gonna want you. You know what I'm saying? You might,
That's
That's
you
what
know
I'm
what I
trying to
mean?
mad,
say.
Like,
Like, not
man.
but I
exactly. That's
think
exactly what I'm trying to say. Like,
but
not
now that
everybody's
y'all
gonna
saying
like
that,
be feeling you, bro.
right?
Like, what are you talking about?
How often are we talking about rejection? Because I think oftentimes there is a long history of the expectation that male rejection equals anger or violence. And I think for a long time
No, yeah.
that's been an association, and I do think that is something that most men in general have tried to stay away from. But I do think it's still there, the tenets of that, where like it's almost like expected, and so we still have this unhealthy relationship, I think, between women and men, where like women already, because it's kind of like matter of factly, like I'm gonna just let him down easy. It's like because you're already
That's
automatically
fair.
assuming that
Yeah,
he's gonna be
yeah,
violent in his
yeah,
reaction to the rejection.
yeah,
And
yeah.
vice versa. Then men have this thing where we're trying to figure out how like we can approach a situation, right? Because we want to come correct, and it's just a bad cycle of how we view each other. But to your point, Nips, I do agree. It's like we do it to ourselves in many ways to like overreact when it comes to rejection. But it's like, man, how many of us have had an opportunity where even other men have guided us through a rejection, where it's like, nah, dude, you good, you still like this, because
Yeah.
oftentimes you know, you either are met with people who would join you and you're, yeah, fuck that or whatever. She was ugly anyway. You're right. Like she was nothing for you. You better
Yeah.
than that. And you know, it's
It
about
doesn't make any sense.
knocking the other person down instead of just being like, yo, that's life, right? Like you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. You always come correct every single time. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, and you good. You still the man. You know, you still right. Like just boosting you up because obviously rejection doesn't feel good. I'm not gonna say like I like being rejected, right? Like times I've been rejected.
Nobody's not being
You know what I'm
rejected, bro.
saying? Like shit hurt, but it's like you know you don't take that and then like bash other people. How can I improve? You know what I mean? How can I? Again, but it's not. I
yeah.
don't think we have enough conversations about dealing with rejection
I mean,
in a
rejection is
healthy
not as
way.
bad as being insulted. Like, like what the fuck is like men need to don't understand. Like, you're insulting her now. You couldn't take rejection, so now you insult her. But you sound like now you're a hypocrite. Because why would you ever even holler at her if now she's a bitch
If that's
because you got rejected? Like,
The
ugly,
so
logic, yeah.
now, but
that
now if
is,
she was with
yeah.
you, she's supposed to accept everybody else's because everybody else gonna think she a bitch. Because now
Mm,
well, she got to reject somebody.
mm,
Like,
Well, yeah,
mm.
because it's like
how privileged do you think you are?
anger. There's no logic when we're angry, right? But again, I think for us, anger has been an emotion we've been associated with. So once we're angry, all logic goes out the window. So you know, we're
No, no.
asking very important questions that I think for most of us as men, when we are in that angry place, all logic goes out the window. So like not
It
being able to see
does.
the person. So, it's funny we're talking about this because I do wonder. Like, I want to actually, before it gets too late, jump into the video. I mean, we could watch it and y'all tell me how y'all want to. Because I have a feeling like y'all gonna react to this. Y'all gonna have a reaction to this. Okay, so
Hold on, let me
I,
get cozy.
I'm probably gonna do some play and pause. I don't know if I want to play it through. We're probably gonna pause all the way through. Yeah, you might want to get cozy for this one. Um, you know, you so because we're talking about dating problems right now, some issues that get in the way. And I think so far the way we've been talking about it is just again trying to break down the ways how we see it. I believe in a different way that we are seeing in the algorithm. And this point and this video I'm about to display is a case in point, I think. Let me see. I gotta share the tab. So this video is a case in point in that, in terms of like what Nips brought up as far as like fighting the algorithm. Because this dude, I swear I wasn't looking for him, but I guess obviously since I was looking up dating stuff in my algorithm, of course dating stuff came up in my algorithm as I prepared for this panel discussion tonight. And so I came across this video. You guys see the video?
Yes, I
Um,
do.
so
See,
it's 18 reasons why older men are opting to stay single or something like that. I'm sorry. Let me see. I got to make sure I got the title right. Are staying single today. So we kind of got some reason. We heard from Rob right as his reasons, and so I know Rob, you asked, well, is it gonna be the same thing? So this is again Darren McPherson, and you see like this was posted 5 days ago, and dude got almost 250,000 views already. So he's definitely
wow.
has an audience. He definitely has the audience. So I'm gonna play the video and let's react to like some other reasons and let's hear from other voices about like perhaps why dating is difficult and why maybe why men are staying single.
To careers, not husbands. You want to know why men over 40 are staying single? I'll tell you why. Because society raised women to be wives to careers, not husbands. And now the men who were once overlooked are watching rebellion unfold and choosing peace over chaos. These ain't excuses. These are the raw, unfiltered reasons men are walking away from modern women, and many of them don't plan on looking back. You better watch this all the way through or keep wondering why that good man ain't calling you back. Let's set the record straight. This ain't about men being bitter. This ain't about men being weak. This is about men getting wise, men getting structure, and men finally realizing what marriage has turned into and what it costs when you choose a woman who ain't built for submission, peace, or purpose. And if you're one of those women thinking, well, maybe he just can't handle a strong woman, sit tight. You're about to find out he didn't lose interest. He gained clarity. First reason, divorce destroys a man's life. Older men have seen it too many times. Good men getting gutted in court. He loses his house, he loses his pension, his legacy, and she walks away with half his world for bringing nothing but attitude to the table. Why would any man jump into a legal system designed to reward rebellion and punish masculinity? Reason number two.
Okay, who's he talking to here? First of all,
Y'all two, you're about to get married right now,
He could have got.
right?
Who is he talking to?
Because is he's talking to women or is he talking to both women and men, right? Like,
He,
this is my second time
he
playing this video, like probably my third time playing the video, and I just caught that in the
is
beginning. I'm like, who
Is
is he
it,
really addressing this to? Because he's like, sit tight, but I'm like, is he talking to
but he's
women?
single women and
he.
married men, right?
Well, I think that okay, because what he's talking about
So far.
is like I don't know who. I know he's just talking about divorce,
Okay.
and he's basically saying that how divorce has turned into is like why would anyone that is of a particular place and particular set of assets going to put themselves in that position, because he generalized everyone as like we all got money. If I get married today and I get divorced 2-3 years from now, and if I didn't hit the lotto, whatever, girl, what money? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, so like he brought up the point of divorce, yeah, and so he's speaking to people that might be considering that, but he's generalizing that every man
Everybody
has enough assets to kind of consider like, oh
that they
shit,
might take
but
everything.
that's exactly, they might take everything when reality is that more than half of the US population is not making any money, that the amount of money that they should, but continue.
There ain't no wives left, just women with Wi-Fi and wigs. Let's be real, men aren't seeing helpmeets anymore. They're seeing overweight, masculine, overly opinionated, sexually entitled women with teenage kids and zero submission. You think a 45-year-old man who's built structure wants to babysit dysfunction? No. He's dodging destruction, not avoiding love. Reason number 3, peace over problems. Every time. Men are realizing something dangerous to the modern women. Their peace is more valuable than your presence. Why invite drama into a house that's already quiet, clean, and under control? A real man doesn't chase chaos just because he's lonely. Reason number 4, most of y'all ain't wives. You're just performing until you get to the altar. Men are waking up to the bait and switch. You cook during the dating phase, smile during engagement, and once the ring landed, you turn into his opposition, not his support. Older men now see it coming from a mile away, and they're choosing out before they get dragged in. Reason number 5, masculinity is now considered a threat. We live in a culture where structure, headship, and strength are labeled toxic. So older men ask, why step into a system that demonizes everything you stand for and then expects you to pay for dinner too? Reason number 6, women compete more than they cooperate. I'm gonna say it again. Women compete more than they cooperate. Men don't want to debate every decision in their home. They don't want.
Fellas, so don't men compete more than we cooperate? Okay, just checking because
No, we don't. We don't automatically just say yes. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That's cooperating. Automatically just saying yes. We definitely are
We're more competitive creatures, aren't we? The competitive creatures.
No, we're gonna
So,
exactly. We're gonna definitely
like,
try to
compete, not cooperate.
Oh, I said this. No, I said this. No, I said this. But this, but that. But just even in the debate team was a bunch of men sitting there. It wasn't ladies that was sitting around debating. It was men sitting around seeing who can be the better debater versus all the debaters. Like, stop. We are the ones that even when it comes to bringing up points, would even go that far to even make that into a sport.
Want to fight for respect from a woman who thinks submission is oppression. If a woman can't follow, she don't belong in a marriage. She belongs in corporate America, not your house. Reason number 7, the feminized marriage model failed. The happy wife, happy life formula? Yeah, that turned into miserable husband, maxed out credit card, and zero intimacy. Older men are rejecting this emotional dictatorship disguised as a relationship. Reason number 8, their value finally caught up with their age. Most women peak in attention by 25. Most men peak in value by 45. And now, older men are finally being respected for what they bring, not just what they can buy. They're not desperate, they're discerning. Reason number 9, older men want purpose, not pretty problems. They don't want a fling, they want alignment. They're not interested in another Instagram model with attitude. They're looking for a wife who builds legacy, not a woman who wants to match energies. Reason number 10, high standards or no standards at all. Older men don't need company. They need cooperation. And if a woman can't match his vision, values, and order, he'd rather keep his house clean, his spirit quiet, and his wallet closed. Reason number 11, he's experienced more peace without a woman. I'm gonna say that again. Older men have experienced more peace without a woman. This one hurts, but it's real. Most men have experienced more peace being single than they ever had in a relationship. No drama, no arguing, no ego wars. And once a man takes that kind of quiet, he stopped chasing noise. Reason number 12, wisdom comes with wrinkles. Older men ain't simping anymore. They've been through it. Lied to, used, manipulated. Now they don't waste time. They test first, trust later, and never negotiate headship again. Reason number 13, the dancing monkey phase is over. He used to dress up, say the right things, and play Mr. Romantic just to impress a woman who wasn't even a wife. Not anymore. Now he leads, and if she can't follow, he exits. No performance, just purpose. Reason 14, the dating pool is spiritual poison. Tinder, Instagram, DMs, fake femininity, softcore porn disguised as selfies. Older men are done swimming in this cesspool and calling it dating. They're looking for a suitable wife, not clicks, submission, not selfies. Reason number 15, loss of sex drive, or they just avoiding intimacy altogether. Some men stay single because they lost the desire for sex or see no use for it anymore. And while that might seem like peace on the surface, let's call it what it is. It's spiritual decay disguised as maturity. If a man is no longer interested in physical intimacy with his wife, he's not healthy. He's disconnected from purpose. Sex within a marriage isn't just pleasure. It's covenantal reinforcement. So while this may be a reason, it's also a warning. You might want to go get that fixed. Reason 16, desire for freedom without accountability. Let's not lie. Some men want freedom, not structure. They don't want to lead a wife, raise children, or build anything that requires discipline. And while it may feel logical to avoid responsibility, in my book, that's rebellion from your divine purpose. Freedom without leadership is chaos. And if you're running from being the head of a household, you're not avoiding bondage. You're avoiding maturity. Reason number 17, fear of emotional vulnerability. A lot of men avoid relationships not because of bad women, but because they don't want to feel, reveal, or heal. They've been hurt, so they just stay cold. A man who can't lead emotionally will either become a tyrant or a coward. You don't escape betrayal by shutting down. You escape by building with discernment. Reason number 18, and this is actually the final reason. Thanks for watching. Make sure y'all like this video. Reason number 18, some just don't want to lead at all. And let's be brutally honest. Some older men aren't staying single because of women. No. They're staying single because they're lazy, disobedient, and refuse to carry weight. They're weak, not wise.
Damn,
they're passive,
Rob.
not peaceful.
My boy getting at you.
And they'll blame the culture while secretly knowing they're avoiding their calling.
All of them, not all
here's
of them.
My boy said if you're not dating older men, the only reason why older men aren't dating, you hear that, is because they lazy. They got
most of all his choices were so negative. That's why I was noticing, like, you can't. I don't know. You can't miss that from me. Like, that just doesn't resonate.
Let's not like, share, subscribe. Yo. I did give him, you know,
it's amazing that
unintended promo. I was
waiting for a choice that wasn't negative. I was like, everything was negative. Everything, if you pay attention, like, most of it was just like it had to be a blame game or some shit.
I
found it quite interesting.
Just sad,
you know. And also, what I was asking myself throughout the whole thing was like, if this isn't the way the universe works, like, isn't this the list then that just explains him? Like, this is his pain, this is his story, this is his, you know, this is all him. This is him essentially. So I was like, I feel bad for him, you know,
because it sounds like the type of woman, right? Like, it's very, he's not being diverse here.
Even
You
though he's
know,
saying a lot of we and men, even though he's
you know,
talking in
because
general.
he's
Mm,
saying
Yeah.
stuff that's like,
yeah, it came rooted from somewhere specific, and it
you
was
know,
definitely his.
exactly. Like for example, it seems like he's having a hard time just dating a young professional woman. Seems like just
Somebody
based on
kind, right?
just
Somebody who
just
actually
not,
genuinely
not,
cares.
No, no, no. I hear
a young
what Nips is saying. Yeah.
a young professional woman means someone that is educated, someone that feels some sort of success, someone that has a job. You know what I'm saying? Like someone that that doesn't necessarily move in the way that you're used to because they don't necessarily need you.
Yeah.
Like
He's calling it the modern woman. I think that's what he
and
meant by calling it the
that's what
modern
I'm trying to
woman.
say.
Yeah.
Exactly, like a
Because I was like, what does
modern,
that mean? The modern woman.
exactly. That's what he's like
Modern
getting at.
woman.
But there's a lot of women out there that because they decided to go to college more than what men did in the past whatever amount of years, because they decided to get jobs, because they decided to move out, because they decided to be independent. Some of them did have children, not all of them did, because he's making it seem like
Mm.
everybody there has kids, and when in reality is the whole idea of having children is a broke person's problem, right? And not all women are broke, because women now have more options. They can, like, freeze their eggs. They can give out donate. There's a lot of different things that you can have, like how you can have a child now.
Oh yeah.
And so like,
There's more choice in that
again,
matter. Yeah.
what he's the woman that he's talking about is a modern woman, and in various forms, because you do have young modern women who do have children, right? And they are professionals, and they are, raising kids on their own
Yeah,
without a
listen, I'm
man,
free to
and that,
give out
but
kids. I'm
but
free to
that's
give
going
out
to create,
kids.
a particular type of person. If
Oh
you
yes.
have been a
Mm.
type of woman that has been dealing with children, right, by yourself, or maybe a little bit of help from the family. You've been working. All them kids is healthy. They clothed, they fed, they whatever. You're supposed to be what he says, submissive, blah 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 blah. Like what? You don't have the
Yeah,
understanding of, or the empathy of, what this individual has to go through on a daily basis to just even say that's not who you are going to be.
Yeah.
You are not going to be submissive, whatever, when every single moment of your living day you have to worry about taking charge and taking lead, and organize and be a project manager and be this and be that, just because that's what you got to do. Like, some of the stuff that men want is, to me, kind of just illogical, right? Like, it's about the person that you are, that are considering to be with,
Yeah.
not in a generalized way. Like, I might not, half of these things I don't need to worry about, because half of them shits I don't care
Yeah.
about.
I mean, there was, and it's also, what bothered me, in playing this back is, obviously the fact that I don't really agree with any of this stuff. Again, even if I was single in the moment, none of this appeals to me, because even when I hear terms modern women, I already tune out, because I'm like, all right, dude, you're somebody who's clearly playing into certain stereotypes about women that's been going on in social media
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
entertainment and TV for the past couple of years now. So it just tells me, even though that he's trying to come across as this, like, I don't know, enlightened dude, that he has some sort of answers, he's still spilling a lot of the same BS that I think we've already tried to challenge here, as far as like even our relationship to women goes. And
it's just
also,
that look, even me. That's what I'm saying. Like you gotta pay attention to like it's in their tone. Like I'm single, but I'm not like you gotta hear. It sounds spiteful. It's like in spite of like there is no goodness there. Like it's
yeah,
like no,
yeah.
brother. Like
And if
you
you
know what I'm
peep,
saying?
he in a lot of the reasons why going back to like the dating, the purpose is tied to financials, right? The divorce, being careful with the divorce. Men don't want to pay for things anymore. Men don't care to look too good, right? A lot of it is tied to like what we have, and the reasons why we're staying
Mm,
single is still tied to our
mm.
finances, which again is BS. Like, men and finances do not go together. I don't think you are a man because your dollar amounts does not make the man. You know what I
Well,
mean?
there is a generation though
That
that
does
is
believe
like
that
that.
does
Like
believe
yeah,
that,
for
and I
sure,
think
for
he is
sure.
appealing to men who do believe this thing. So I do believe he's appealing to certain men, like you said, Nips, of a certain tax bracket that I think he's appealing to.
Mm.
But even it sucks because those men could, I think, also I don't think what they need is this. Because also he's spewing bullshit.
Facts.
Honestly, like he said, number 11, I think it was, that men are finding peace when they're lonelier. Actually, that's why I
Peace,
linked
they're choosing
that.
peace over chaos.
Yeah, and that men are lonelier when they're single, which is actually research says no. So I put
Yeah.
the articles up for you just for reference because the last few years, what we have been seeing is the total opposite. Is that one, not only has been there been a rise in men being lonelier, but the fact that loneliness in men is tied to bad health outcomes. So like we're suffering as a result of being lonelier. And why are we lonelier, as you ask? Because there's another study done by, so this one's by Psychology Today, and then I linked another one from Aspen Hospital as well, their health journal, which they kind of
Mm.
like dug a little deeper into like the link between loneliness and mental health, and like why are men more lonely, and they found things like, for example, that in 1995 there were about 55% of men who said they've had 6 close friends. Today that number dropped down to 27%. Um, there's a report that was conducted by the American Survey Center in 2021 that reported that 15% of men claim to have no close friends, which is a 12% increase from 1990, which means in 1990 there were only 3 or 4% of men who said they had no close friends. So that's a big jump because 50% is a lot. And so
Yeah.
the other, I think, myth that goes against everything he said is the fact that there's studies that show that men in relationships actually live longer, and that married men live longer and healthier lives than men who are unmarried and out of relationships. And there's studies
Mhm.
that break the reason why, right? And then the study goes into like what are some
So
factors
it's me versus you
that
guys.
are no, it's because when you think
Nah.
like because marriage is tied to having a partner to take care of you, having somebody to care for, having somebody that gives you
Exactly. Yo,
community, having so
Like I can't take care of myself.
no, it's just, but again, it's we can see why,
it,
right? Like it kind of like 1 + 1 = 2 situation, right? If you live
That
alone,
makes sense.
you
Yeah.
probably won't survive as long as you would as if somebody else lived with you. I
there's
mean,
somebody,
you know what I
yo,
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if you slip and fall in the bathroom where you by yourself and you're a 75-year-old man, you got to
For
somehow call
sure.
if
somebody. If you're a
if
75-year-old man, you slip in the bathroom, but you with your
listen,
wife,
listen,
there's somebody who can, right? Like, so I
Well,
think there's some factors there to consider. But again,
you
this
have
guy is
you
saying that men are preferring to be lonely because more men are happier when lonely. I'm like, research says
how,
that's incorrect.
but also, is it okay? Is it all I'm trying to say is like we can make it all up how we want it to be. We are allowed. We that's
mm-hmm.
the like you can say I I rather not have this. You don't need to talk about how like what you want maybe is something that isn't available anymore. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the stuff that you require and you desire in a relationship as a man is probably difficult for women to actually do. And you can't get upset because somebody can't give you those things. Like it's I'm not gonna I'm gonna spend as much money as I can on my lady.
Mm,
I'm gonna do it. Me, that's me. That's not the expectation that they set on me. That is what I am saying I am going to do.
yeah,
It's not that, oh, if you want to be with me, you gotta. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm gonna buy you this whenever I want to buy it for you. So this idea of like providing, you as a man get to decide what that looks like, and 100%, and you should be 100% upfront with what that is, and not try to sell these dreams. You know what I'm saying? When that's when you might not see
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
that you got it like that, and then you put yourself in a situation in which you don't technically
yeah,
got it like that, and then get mad at the woman because you wasn't you was showing out and you really wasn't supposed to be showing out anyway, type
yeah,
stuff. Because that's another thing that happens at the front and the stunt and the all that stuff that happens in the streets nowadays. I don't
yeah.
know anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's a good point you're bringing up. I think that most men, because we listen to stuff like this, and look, I don't think what he's saying is necessarily new. I do think that this is regurgitated like advice, relationship advice that men have continued to get, where at the end of the day, a lot of our issues that we're having is we've been taught to pass it on to women and say it's mostly their problem. I mean, we didn't, when us three were born, we were born into a world that told us that spending money as a man is something that makes you a man. Like, we didn't ask for that. We didn't say that that's what we wanted to believe. Like, that was just thrusted onto us, and like we had to live life and then learn our own ways what that mean, and how it doesn't apply to us really. So, but he's using very coded language, which I do think he's not the only one. I do think there are other people like this who use these coded language, and I do believe like some of the words he used is like I- it's captivating, right? So he's saying like men are choosing peace over chaos. Like, of course, who doesn't want to hear that? But I don't think it's
Yeah, I
just
think he was
men.
pretty
You
rude,
know what I mean?
honestly,
I don't think
man.
men. I think women also want peace over chaos. But I
Yeah.
think so. Again, I
That
think
that
there's certain terms being used to captivate you and be like,
yeah,
yeah, he is
yeah,
making sense. And then is
it's the right.
underneath it is a lot of like, again, digs at
Nah, it's
women, and
yeah, a
and
lot of
and
digs at women, negative digs, because you don't have to say that
yeah,
peace over chaos. Who are you to say that it's all chaos? You just saying it's
Dude,
all. You just saying it,
right.
whatever. Instead of saying like other, well, you don't even need to say the word chaos. They're
I just
choosing
feel like
their
he don't even
their
love
peace.
peace,
himself.
right?
No, like everybody has a different type of peace. So men are choosing their peace. It doesn't need to be versus chaos. That's
Chaos.
just to say that it's only one thing going on with all women causing chaos. And it
Right.
sucks that we're living in a time where we're not displaying, or no one cares to display, healthy relationships, because it's something that people need to see now more than ever. People like
I do agree.
have to have these
I
type
do
of
agree.
conversations, like especially when it comes to in the black communities of color, Latino community, like minority community. Like, we definitely need to do a better job in voicing how difficult it is to be in a relationship, but all of the things that come from it, right, that are positive. It's not easy to be in a relationship. I don't think anyone that's in a relationship is gonna sit here and be like, "Yeah, it's a fucking good time."
Start now.
It it's a
Hmm.
good time. It's a good time in the first 3 months is great, fantastic,
Nah,
no problem.
don't discourage anybody. No, relationships are fun, guys. They're fun. They're a lot of work, but they're really fun. Okay, baby,
Nah,
have
but
fun,
then when
right?
nah. But when you
No,
start
no.
getting it,
To
when you
to
start
maintain
when
it
you
and build a healthy one, it does take work,
hold
though. I
on,
think you're right. No,
hold
no,
Here
on.
it
I do think you're right.
No,
goes.
Because
wait.
I do think relationships
Hold
are more
on.
fun. Because when they're
I
not
don't know. I
fun,
don't.
then you want to break up.
I don't know. I don't know what Rob's or your goal is when it comes to being in a
Mhm.
relationship. But my my best friend, people that I say that I'm really really close with, I've had confrontations with. I have had difficult dis- things that I couldn't deal about them, things that fights and this, that, and the third.
Mhm.
What I'm trying to do when I get into a relationship is get to a point where I could legit marry my best friend. Legit. And that would mean that I need to be at a
That's the
place,
goal.
or we need to be at a place where we've had these battles. My siblings are gonna be my siblings, and everybody here has their siblings, and you know that they could do whatever they want to do, and they're gonna still be your siblings, and you still gotta show up, right? There are obviously like limitations and
Mhm.
boundaries and parameters, but
Good.
for the most part, there has been issues, right? There's relationship, there's foundation there. There's been fights, there's been discussions, and there's been all of these things, and so like that is something that I allow to also be a part of the whole thing, right? Like, yes, and that part is beautiful to, like, overall learning that process is a fucking beautiful thing. It's not just ugly.
Yeah.
It is difficult to go through it, but when you do go through it and you're able to like still have this relationship with this person that you have issue with, I think that's very, very humbling, very beautiful, and that's
Mhm.
what humans have to be doing more and more, right? Like, how can I still love you? Like,
Yeah.
and I talk about family because family is the only set of people that you can like still do that because you're raised together or something like that. this person that you're in a relationship with is not your family. And so to be able to say, I have an issue with you and I still love you to a complete random stranger that has zero foundation to you,
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
That
No.
shit is that shit is beautiful. That shit is what we're supposed to be aiming for.
Yeah.
Because and we can do it, right? But we just have to be nice to each other, man. We just have
Well,
to
it
be
does take
nice.
work, like you said. There's the ugly side to it, where like it's a lot of truth telling, and the truth isn't always easy. The truth is
Yeah.
hard. There's a lot of like back and forths. So
Who
A
make
lot of
picking
you
back and
ugly?
forth.
picking things up, and then you pick things up, and then you put it down when it gets too rough, but then you pick it up later, right? Even though most people like to drop things and sweep it under the rug.
Hmm.
So absolutely, I do think um, relationships are work, and to maintain and build the healthy ones in that way, right? To go again, like you said, love people through hard times, be willing to go back, try to grow even through tension.
Mhm.
Um, and I
That's a
think, and I
that
think, and I think,
That's the
it's
biggest
that, it's
part.
that,
That's the big part.
it's that instant gratification, though, right? That's what we've been battling since shit. I was in high school when I first learned that term and what that meant, right? Wanting instant gratification and in the
yeah, right
moment
away.
and right away. And so I think seeing beautiful relationships online and social media, and then thinking that like you can just get there and without again the actual work that it takes to build and maintain a healthy relationship. And so
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
when things are not healthy right away, or maybe not going so well, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
abort,
What's
mayday,
going on? Yeah,
mayday.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
because you wanted that instant, oh, you wanted to get to the
Yeah.
already,
Why don't
like,
you get you
nah,
want
this is,
hmm
you got to go through these steps first, man.
yeah, yeah, you gotta eat.
um
You gotta we both gotta eat these.
yeah. So to put it plainly, but yeah, and I do see that in young people, who are trying to getting into relationships again, and not knowing what it means, not knowing what it takes, and still working through it, trying to learn it. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, but I do want to I wanted to link it because it is getting late. About to wrap up by 10:30. My fault, Rob. You did have some thoughts there. I didn't. My bad for cutting you off.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say, so you guys are going to invite your partners for the next one? That's what you were saying. You want to support. Felix was saying that he wants to. I'm walling. Felix, that's what
He's
you
like, wait,
said.
we said,
Rewind the
yeah,
tape.
Mr.
You're saying
Manuscript.
that
This isn't
that
the we all script.
What
this
you
is
what
us.
you well, I don't
This
know what
is
you
us.
This is
yo,
us.
bro.
This is the
You
You're
saying
gonna
manuscript
that
have
we should
editor.
have more men portraying themselves in relationships.
wait, no, 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 but who's talking about
That's
bringing
what.
ladies on? Like, okay, what?
There's a different. That's for a different platform.
Nah, I'm joshing.
That's
I'm
for the
joshing.
vlog. That's for the vlogs type of content. But no,
I'm
I do. I
joshing.
think even just having again authentic conversations about the relationship struggles, about going through ugly moments in a healthy way. I do think and reflect
Mm-hmm.
on like the fact that we're used to seeing these ugly moments in relationship contain very toxic, abusive kind of behaviors, and seeing that as, oh, that just goes with the program. But like all the ugly stuff that happens in relationships doesn't have to be unhealthy either. There's a healthy way to do
Yeah,
the really ugly stuff. And I think it's good to see some of that.
yeah,
Um,
like we gotta talk about how, like, why is it that when you tell, I don't know about you, Al, but like when I be, telling my lady, yo, chill out, like let's just chill on this couch, she's really not even chilling on the couch. She's really just still concerned about the stuff that she should have been doing instead of chilling on the couch.
I think that
Like,
may be me. I don't know. If you ask my
like, yo,
partner,
bro,
that might be me.
yo, bro, like, yo, can we just sit? Can you just sit here? Sometimes she's
Hello.
like, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Because I'm like dazed out. I'm like, absolutely nothing. I'm not thinking about nothing at all. Don't you just sometimes just stare? Because,
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Can't
that's what
yeah,
chilling
free your
is.
thoughts.
I just in my thoughts, just like, what do you think about?
I'm
Absolutely
chilling.
nothing. You don't want me to explain to you what I'm thinking about. I'm probably thinking about some dragon going crazy because I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm not gonna say that out loud.
Oh, you should, man. You should. See where it goes. Yeah, say dragons.
He's
Yeah,
like,
sure.
well, where do I begin?
What are you thinking? Well, we all started.
No, no, that's what
Right.
happens when you have probably a woman that's busy, man, and you know
Are you familiar
can't
with
stay still.
warlocks and wizards?
Um, yeah, that's look. I do. There was to I do want to bring this up before wrapping up that there was some. I thought it was interesting because again, look, coming off of this video, thinking about the all the stuff we talked about already, like what makes it challenging, some of the things in dating. There was a good, I don't, was it this article? I don't know if it was Psychology Today. I mean, some of it is definitely cheesy, but I do think that it was interesting how they framed like, our struggles with dating and then therefore loneliness and how to combat it, right? Which is really about like how to make more friends as men. Which, on a side note, I have heard from some of my adult friends how how it is hard to make friends if you don't have your friends as an adult. If you're in your 30s and you kind of don't have a group of close friends, making new friends at that age is a little tough. And if it's and this is and I've heard that from women, so I can't imagine if you're a 30-something-year-old man with no friends, how do you again, when we already have a hard time just being expressive, being open, being vulnerable, and those are the things that it takes really to build trust and friendships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought it was interesting to see some of these tips kind of outlined, which I didn't think were too bad. As far as like making friends, all right, some of them being challenging the stereotypes, focus on a shared interest. I know we talked about like finding community, being clear and direct, which Nips, you've been big on, right? Like anytime you're communicating with anyone, making sure you're kind of like being straight up about what you want, and
Yeah.
like who you are, and even if you don't know what it is, asking questions, asking yourself questions. You know,
I will say really quickly, it takes practice.
right,
Being being
right.
clear
Yes,
and
yes,
direct can be something that is difficult
yeah,
because if you can't being clear and direct sometimes can be a bit aggressive is what I will say. And so how it becomes from yes, you could be clear and direct to okay, how can I, you know, make sure that I'm not pushing buttons by being clear and direct,
yeah, 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 yeah.
because it's really not that it it's easy. It sounds easy, but
Yeah,
it's
right,
not.
right. It's easier said than done, for sure. I'm glad you
Exactly,
brought that up.
exactly.
It does take practice. So, I mean, take your chances where you can to be as clear as you want. Be clear about the smallest things, right? If you're
Hmm,
going out to
hmm.
eat, be clear about like what it is you want to eat. That's something small you can do. Just be honest. Don't just say like, I'll eat whatever you want. Like, nah, man. Like,
No.
say you're craving a
And if
burger.
you ain't if
Saying
you
you,
ain't got no money, say
Stay your
you ain't got
broke ass
no no no
home.
no no. You don't have to
Oh,
stay home, but say you ain't got no money. Yo, if you ain't got no money,
word, word.
don't be out here getting mad that you had to spend
Did,
some money because you
did I have no?
couldn't say, yo, I don't have it right
I don't.
now. What's up? We're gonna go halvesies on this. And if you have a like if they have a problem with that, they're letting you know everything you need to
To know,
know
yeah, and that goes for all. That's friendship, intimate. So
all the
yeah,
way through
yeah.
and through. Like if you say like, yo, what's up? Let's link. I ain't got no money. Can you spot me, whatever? And you get a response like, excuse me, question mark, who do you think I am? Oh, hell no. Like, what, bro,
That's not
on
your friend.
anything,
Yeah.
your friend, your whatever, you better start asking questions on like, nah, bro, because hell no.
Just be
What?
honest. You just yo, Rob said, if you broke, stay your broke ass home.
Yo,
Your
bro.
time with that one.
No,
Nah,
because it's true.
nah,
You
nah,
you
nah.
can't be out here thinking, oh, let me go do everything, and the next thing you know, you out here in a situation, yo, bro. If you can't say that you broke, yo, most of us ain't got it,
For
bro.
sure,
Most
for
of us
sure.
ain't
I'll tell you
got it.
right
Like I
now,
don't want this whole idea that we all got it. Everybody
we
got
don't.
it. No,
They lying.
no.
This is
More
a
than half
lie.
of y'all ain't got it, bro. Like
Mm-mm.
stop. And so guess what that means? That there's gonna be some times that you ain't gonna have money. That is just how it's gonna be. I'm not saying you always don't have money. I'm just saying there's gonna be a time where you ain't got no money. And in that time that you ain't got no money, what you're gonna do? You're gonna go on that date and then be upset because now you whatever, and because you ain't getting them because you ain't running red lights. Listen, player, what the best thing you could do is say you ain't got no money. What are we gonna do about this? And
That's
move
it.
on
Move
from
on.
there.
Yep. Let's go for free. Yeah, man. And I think, to the last point, right? If you ain't got, like, in terms of being direct, also just step outside your comfort zone, man. It says here, like, psychology today suggests we join men's groups, but, not just men's groups. I would say, like, here in New York City, summertime, I think something that helped was, like, join sports leagues. There's plenty of adult sports leagues, softball. I found that to be really fun and very, like,
Pickleball.
pickleball has been picking up over the years, as well. Like, there's a lot of communities, I think, for adults. That is a good thing, I think, more than teenagers. I do think there's a lot of, like, hobbies and things we can do where we can make friends, man. Like, fun stuff, stuff that could get us active out there. And I think that will help combat, like, this feeling of loneliness. That will help combat this feeling of, like, being down on yourself, having low self-esteem. You build some security. And then I do think dating will become easier in a way. Once you kind of know yourself, you're able to practice being direct, right? You have a community, you're stepping outside your comfort zone. Your bucket is being filled in many different facets, right? You also take initiative to maintain relationships and go through things with people. And so, I think relationships will come your way, and you'll be able to be successful in those. So, anyway, man, such a good conversation, y'all.
Yeah.
Claps for that one. All right. All right, it's close to 10:30 now. I mean, man, that video. Listen, I'm probably gonna stay on top of. I'll probably catch more videos like the one I saw because my algorithm is now gonna be filled with like 8 reasons why men are no longer dating women no more. Like, I don't know, but I
Top
would.
10 reasons why men are
Oh,
asexual.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if that's coming next. Man. All right, y'all. This is a pleasure. Unless we have any lasting thoughts, man. For the live though, obviously we could keep chopping it up after.
nah,
But
I
just for the
love,
live
man.
portion. Are we good? All right, man. That was us. Thank you for another conversation, y'all. It's the Manuscript panel. We're all signing off, man. So peace.
Peace.